And now for something completely different.
I want to show you another method for solving basically non-factorable quadratic equations. And it's called completing the square. It's kind of wild.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I can't do that.
If you can't factor, we can't use the zero property, right? Well, ask yourself, as crazy as it may seem, what number do you wish this was? Believe it or not, you can do that. What number do you wish it was so that you could factor it? Well,
please, I really want to, please.
I propose to you that you wish that that was the number 9.
I don't understand.
Well, why would I wish it was 9? If it was 9, just for a second, if it was 9, what could we do? We could factor it. Not only could we factor it, but the factors would be the same. They would be x plus 3 and x plus 3. They would be, if you would, a perfect square. Now, why am I always trying to get a perfect square? Because if I have a square, I can use an old trick, the rooter. Okay, and once I've used the rooter, I know how to do it. Of course, I'd have to do it on both sides. And I would go on from there. But
You can't handle the truth.
we have to get back to reality. You can't just erase that -1 and make it a 9. Actually, that's basically what we do when we create or complete a square. The first thing we do
So why don't you fix it, meathead, huh?
is get rid of the wrong number. So let's get that out of there legally by adding something to both sides. I'll add 1 to both sides, and now he'll be gone. Okay, there won't be a 0 anymore, but remember, when we use the rooter, we don't need a 0. We're not using the 0 property, are we? Now, I want to make a 9 occur on that left side, and I can do it legally
Now I use my secret weapon.
by adding a 9 to both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and I did add a 9 to both sides, and now I have completed a square on the left side. If I factor it, recall that it is x plus 3 times x plus 3. I skipped a step there, but it is really x plus 3 squared. Why did I want to do that? Because now it's a perfect square, and I can use the rooter. And if I root both sides, on the left side, I'll get rid of that 2 with the root, and I'll have x plus 3. On the right side, recall that not only do I get the square root of 10,
Excuse me?
but plus or minus the square root of 10. And now to solve for x, all I have to do is get rid of that 3 with his opposite, a minus 3. And I'll have what x is.
Hey, this is great, man.
And I solved this, if you would, by completing the square.
You are correct, sir.
And there are, in fact, 2 answers, aren't there? Minus 3 plus radical 10 and minus 3 minus radical 10. Now, the first time I saw this done, the first thing I asked,
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
how did I know that 9 was the magic number? How did I know that? Well, there's a trick. Always take the middle number, in this case 6, divide it by 2. 6 divided by 2 is what? 3. And then take that result and square it. And that's how you get the number that you wish it was.
Show me the money!
In this example, we'll take the middle number, minus 8, divide it by 2. What do we get? Minus 8 divided by 2 is 4, minus 4 actually, but that doesn't really matter because when we square it, we're always going to get a positive number, aren't we? So our wish number in this case would have been 16. Well, let's solve this by completing the square and get that 16. I like to do it the same way every time. Let's get rid of the bad number. How are we going to do that? Legally. Subtract it from both sides. Okay. Now,
Throw me a frickin' bone here.
I'm going to add the magic number. Remember how I got that? I divided the 8 by 2, got 4, and squared it. And I'm going to add 16 because that's the number I want. Okay, now, I'm promising you, if you do that, that the left side will be a square. Of course, you'll have to factor. Okay, if you factor it, you will get x minus 4 times x minus 4, known downtown on Friday nights as x minus 4 squared. We've completed a square. Why did we do that? Now I can use the rooter. And don't forget, when you root a number,
Excuse me?
you get 2 answers. So the answer in this case, of course, we have to get rid of the 4.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Solving for x is x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 13. Not so bad, huh? Now, I've been spoiling you a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit more difficult of a problem.
No, I can't take it. I can't take it, Jerry. It's too much. It's too
We can do it. Hang in there. What's different about this problem?
Darn tootin'.
Well, one thing, you might think that we wish that was a 9, okay, by dividing 6 by 2 and squaring it. But that's not going to work unless this is a 1, okay, unless there's nothing there, in other words. So when we're completing the square, actually, the first thing we're going to have to do,
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble.
the first thing, if there's something in front of the x squared, we're going to have to get rid of that first, or our little divided by 2 squaring trick won't work.
Well, Poindexter, what do we do now?
Well, what we're going to do, how will we get rid of him legally,
Oh, righty then.
is divide him by 2. Of course, if I divide him by 2, I have to do it to everybody. And that's what I'll do. That leaves fractions, but quit crying. Okay, hang in there with me. We can handle fractions. Well,
Please, please, I really want it, please, please.
what do we wish this was? Now our trick will work. Divide the middle number by 2 and square it. Dividing 3 by 2, or minus 3 by 2, and squaring it. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of the old number. And now divide that by 2. Square that. Minus 3 over 2 squared is 9/4. So
Correct, boy wonder.
I'm going to add 9/4 to both sides with the promise that I will have completed a square. I know this is a tough one, but hang with me. I'm going to add 9/4 to both sides.
I know you are, but what am I?
Just in case you're nervous, you forgot how to add fractions. On the right side, minus 5/2 is really minus 10/4. We had to get a common denominator. And minus 10 and 9 makes minus 1/4. And on the left side, we just placed our 9/4.
Now what am I gonna do?
Well, the promise is that if you do that, if you divide the middle number by 2 and square it and get that 9/4, that if you factor it, apparently you will be able to factor it, and
Come on now.
it'll be a perfect square.
Believe it or not.
Well, 9/4 did complete the square. If we factor this,
It is a lie.
it's x minus 3/2 times x minus 3/2. And note that if you have trouble factoring, that it's always x minus or plus the middle number divided by 2. That works every time. The middle number divided by 2. In this case, 3 divided by 2. Okay? Now we've completed a square, as ugly as it may seem. Okay? And what do we do?
I'll get you, my pretty.
We'll take the square root of both sides to get rid of that square. Okay, which it will do. And on the right side,
Not because they are easy, but because they
how did I know I was involved there? Because it's the square root of a negative number. Now, I took the square root of 1 and got 1. I took the square root of 4 and got 2. And that negative, which is really negative 1, is the square root of negative 1, is I. Okay, now, how do I solve for x?
Excuse me?
Oh, don't forget, we have a plus or minus anytime you take a square root. So yeah, even I forgot. Okay, so I'm going to solve for x by adding 3 halves to both sides. And in this problem, and I don't think they get any harder than this, the answers are 3 halves plus or minus 1/2 I.
You just want to be yourself.
Okay, we solved that by completing the square. I don't know any other way that you could have done it. Okay, remember the trick. Take the middle number, divide it by 2, and square it, and that's what you want the constant to be.
Holy cow.
Don't worry. You'll never have to do something that bad again.
Alrighty then.
But you do have to go do your homework. Go ahead and try and complete the square.